Welcome into the official. We got a great show for you as always. And what we're going to do is keep you guys up to date on what is going on across the high school football landscape because we've been talking all summer about our 2024 guys. Some we were right on and some looking like maybe we were wrong on based on what we knew up to that point. Some guys are confirming everything we thought they were, and some guys are causing us to raise some eyebrows. So we will go over the good, bad, and the ugly for some premium names in the 2024 class this week, highlighting specifically weeks 2 and 3, but really kind of what is going on across the season, which is going to impact where we put these guys. If they didn't progress the way we wanted them to, or certain guys are showing exactly what we wanted to see, they're going to move up and down throughout the season. And that will also be reflected in the mock drafts that we do throughout the season as well. So stay tuned for all of those. And without further ado, this is the official. All right, everybody's here. Back from we pre-recorded one show, so it's been a while since I saw you guys live. But good to have you in the house here and ready to talk some week 2, week 3 breakouts and duds and busts and injuries and all that stuff.
Yep, we always are.
Always are. I don't even need to ask. All right, well, let's just get into it. Some of the quarterbacks here, I'm looking at the show sheet, and I've got 6 green highlighted quarterbacks, meaning that we've got positive news to say on these guys, much to David's chagrin, I'm sure, because he has been a quarterback hater most of this class. But it looks like some guys are really putting some things together and coming out looking really good. First and foremost, a guy that, his hold on the easy top 1 QB is maybe a little shaky, but Din Raiola heating up. What did you guys see this week? Matt, we'll just go to you first. What did you see with Raiola, and is he back in your good graces? I know we weren't like off Dylan Raiola, but a little bit questioning. Was he really the stud we all thought he was?
So I watched this game live between Buford and North Cobb, and he's had a pretty slow start to the season, not putting up big numbers. The offense has been a bit more conservative, but he really came out this week and showed off. That first throw that we just saw there, like a 60-yard moving down the field, great accuracy. That's the kind of throws that we want to see out of Raiola. And there's really not many guys in this class that can do that consistently. And I think that's really what sets him apart, at least, just the arm talent and the downfield accuracy. It's no one else has really got it. Not many people have his arm. So it's just good to see that.
Yeah, you can see it's just.
And he did win pretty easily as well.
And North Cobb's a quality program. I mean, he's playing in some good Georgia competition here this year as well. 12 of 16, 284 yards, 3 touchdowns were his stats for this past week. And, you can just see the easy arm action there. That's what you really love to see. David, what's up?
I just want to chime in here. Although it did boost his stats quite a bit, we got a ways to go. Here. He's at 6.9 yards per attempt and negative 43 yards rushing right now. I know the competition's really hard, and it's a new school, new system. He's got to learn all that stuff, so it could be a slow transition. But let's the jury's out.
It's not all puppies and rainbows here. No, it's good news. I mean, negative 40 rushing yards. That's I'm with you on that being a big problem. I don't know if that'll change. Mobility's actually been the thing that I've kind of been like, okay, he's a good prospect, no doubt arm talent, but Mahomes is incredibly mobile. He's not going to put up 1,000 yards rushing or something like that. But when you say he's Mahomes, and people have said that since his sophomore year, I don't know. I don't know what his mobility is like. I'm going to need to watch a full game. Maybe I can get over to Buford. All right, my guy hopefully will remain my guy. I don't know if DJ Lagway will wind up at UF after what we saw last week. from the Gators. If I was him, I would be looking to decommit ASAP. But as of now, still committed. Looking really sharp. David, he's been our guy. We love the mobility. We love all the tools. But 21 of 23, 436 yards and 8 TDs in week 2. That's one game. Then 19 of 29, 192 yards, 1 TD, 2 picks, but 6 carries, 86 yards and touchdowns. So tremendous dual threat. The one thing here is, even though it's high school football in Texas, the comp is not great, right? So what are you looking at with DJ Lagway?
Yeah, I think the week 2 opponent was fairly weak for their standards, their scheduling standards. He does play 6A Texas, I believe. So his SOS should end up being pretty strong. I did catch some highlights of him. The 6 for 86 on the ground was really good. He looked a little burstier, a little faster, I thought. I don't know. We'll have to check a mile per hour on his senior tape to see if he had a little more juice, because I think he's in the 19 mile per hour range, I believe, right now. Still he's a unit, so he can just kind of like plow through people anyway.
Yeah.
So pretty good in that regard. So he's an ascending quarterback right now.
A little more of a tank style runner than say you're Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray. And I always was like, he's a willing runner. He's an effective runner. I didn't think he was necessarily a game breaker type runner, but if he added some juice in the offseason, that could change. That would be good to see if we get that, miles per hour up over 20. Matt, a guy we liked, big time riser all throughout the summer, looked good at the Elite 11. Will Hammond lost a game 82-80. Walk us through that one. That would have been a hell of a DFS stack.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be upset with your defense out of that one. I mean, he put up 10 touchdowns himself, 700 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 88 rushing yards for 6 rushing touchdowns. I didn't check the level of competition. I imagine it's not great. David, did you check? I forget.
I don't know off the top of my head. I believe it was like the power rating of the team last year was I think 15.
Yeah, so not great.
Well,
as you could expect, seeing a score. Yeah, I mean, or just really bad defenses.
Jeez.
I mean, we didn't really get any video of it, so I imagine a lot of it was kind of easy for him. He got a shout out from Patrick Mahomes after this. I assume mostly because of the Texas Tech connection there.
Oh.
So I mean, good to see him putting up numbers. Not much to take away from it, as we don't have video of it, but that's crazy performance. Probably best we'll see all season.
10 touchdowns. I'm not sure. I mean, I thought Lagway's 8 touchdown week was impressive. That's nuts. 719 passing yards. Just ludicrous. That's some NCAA football on freshman mode or whatever, walk-on mode, and where you're just going nuts. All right, I'm going to throw this one to David for sure, because I've been also tinkering with Julian Sayin as the QB1. I haven't done it yet. I know you have been on that train a little bit as well. I don't know if you officially did it, or you maybe also thinking about it as well. He looks good.
Yeah, I have him it's essentially a tie at this point between Rahal and Sayin. Both of them have their issues. Because I'm kind of with you, Alfred, where you're kind of questioning the arm strength, and there's not a lot of NFL throws, honestly. There isn't. His big thing is accuracy. He's a cerebral quarterback, stuff like that. But the last 2 games, he's completed 89% of his passes. That's really good. 7 touchdowns. He's actually been rushing a little more. I believe he's almost matched, I think, his last year's rushing. So he does look kind of what we saw at the Elite 11. Even just watching Instagram Live, we're like, oh, this guy's kind of he's a little twitchier than I thought. He moves a little bit better than I initially had thought. He might be closer to maxed out physically than some of the other guys. He doesn't have this huge frame. He's not going to pack on a bunch of muscle, stuff like that. But I think he's already over 100 some rushing yards, so that's good. But yeah, I'm still waiting to see those opposite hash to sideline type throws, where he's just driving the ball on a line like 30 yards, whatever. I just don't see a lot of that, and that's kind of like the main thing. But it's like, Matt got his VOE at I think it was around 4.8, which is it's below average.
Yeah.
So he's probably gonna have to throw with good amount of anticipation, stuff like that, to overcome it. So you kind of just wonder, long term, is the arm going to kind of hold him back?
That is a very fair assessment. But I do like the skedaddle on the ground here. I like what we're seeing with he can get after it. And I will say I've not officially like changed my grades to officially have Saiyan number one, but I was in a Devy draft at the last round. We have like 7 rounds in this particular one, and there's nobody really there. And you can draft anybody. You can draft in middle school if you want. There's no rules. I actually took Saiyan, and Raiola could have been available, and I took Saiyan. Partly just, I don't know, the Bama. I like the running. I think he could be really effective. I mean, he could, like Bryce Young, I don't think has like a howitzer. He's anticipation, he's accuracy. So I don't know. I'm kind of seeing maybe a perfect outcome is Bryce Young-ish from Saiyan if he can run a little bit and really just be pinpoint. Yeah, I mean, I made that decision. I could have taken Raiola. I was going to take Raiola, and then last minute I was just like, I think I want Saiyan. So for what it's worth, he's not officially my QB1, but I just took him over Raiola in a Devy draft. Maybe that'll be foolish in hindsight. We'll see. All right, so Jaden Davis, I'll just talk about this. I mean, these are great stats, 59 for 80, 73% completion. We love to see that. 1,000 yards, it's over 10 yards per attempt, very over 10 yards per attempt. 11 TDs, no picks through 3 games. Pretty nice. I just don't know if I can do it with Davis. Matt, do you have a counter? I mean, I just think he's going to be really effective. He's going to be a safe, high-floor guy. I just don't know. I'm not impressed. I'm not going to bump him up because of this.
I mean, yeah, I think I have the lowest grade on him currently out of all of us, so you're not going to get me singing his praises. But, I mean, he is performing great. You can't deny that. He also does have, I think, 3 Power 5 wide receivers on his team. Jordan Shipp, who's going to North Carolina, put up, I think 250 yards week 1. So he does have that advantage. I think they're probably playing against competition they probably pretty easily overpower. I just, I don't really see the ceiling with him. I don't see the CFF production with him at Michigan. I just don't. Good player, not a good fantasy asset.
I agree. I think he's good. I mean, I do think he is good, like you said. For fantasy, I'm just not sure it's there. I mean, he could turn into like Drew Brees in the perfect system and just pepper all around, high volume, very accurate kind of guy. But otherwise, I just see a very good player, safe player, but not like a guy who's going to do much for your fantasy team. And of course, David, got to give you time to talk about the Hoss. Hoss Haney looking pretty good. Insane rushing totals here. What are we doing with Haney? I guess headed to TCU. Looks like they need a quarterback ASAP after that performance against Colorado.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like all the reports at Elite 11 were, that his arm was like really good. Like the breakaway data was like top 3, top 4, which like it didn't really necessarily match my eyes, I guess. Matt got his VOE and it was, I think, in the 5s. I don't know if you know that number off the top of your head, but I think it was in the 5s, which is, average to below average. But he played against Geyer, which is just, it's a powerhouse in Texas. They're always, I mean, even without Jackson Arnold, they're always like top 20 in Texas, at least the last like 5 years or whatever. So, I mean, he was 15 for 20, 252 yards, no turnovers, 1 touchdown pass. And then, yeah, like you said, on the ground, 12 carries, 135 yards, and another touchdown. So, and he he led like a game-winning drive towards the end to get to a game-winning field goal, and they won 48-45. So it is good to see him leading, being very efficient against a very good team. And, I think stocks slightly up still. I just want to see how he does, the full year.
Yeah, we love our Haas here. Just for anyone who's following along or maybe listening for the first time, VOE is velocity over expected. It is a kind of an equation that we have come up with, I believe. Basically, how much velocity these quarterbacks are throwing based on what you'd expect on the type of throw, without getting too much more into it. Higher is better, means stronger arm. And then, Haney, the real tough thing with Haney is like he's 5'11" listed, so that might mean he's 5'10". I mean, we don't know. However, in the modern era, where Kyler went first, then Bryce Young. Bryce Young is small. I mean, he's absolutely small. You can see him next to real other NFL players, and he's like small, but he's going to get it done. I think that's a thing to think about in the future. Do we really need to be that worried anymore if people are going to draft these guys if they perform? No one's that worried about it anymore, it seems. Okay. Haas Haney, very fun player. Haas Haney leads a game-winning drive against a powerhouse in Texas. Aaron Noland gets upset and bombs the potential game-winning drive and throws a pick here. Matt, I'm going to throw it to you because Aaron Noland's been kind of your guy. You've had him, I think, top 3 maybe for a lot of the thing. You say not having a good season here on the stat list or stat sheet here. So, what are your takes here from the 2023 season for Aaron Noland?
I'm definitely having to go back on what I've said about Noland a little bit. Week 1, he played against Carrollton, a pretty good Georgia team. They have Julian Lewis, Caleb Odom.
Oh, yeah, great team.
And he won that game, but did not look very good in the process, playing, very conservative ball, like 5 yards per attempt. It was something really, really bad. And, his arm is noticeably on the weaker end of the scale. So starting off with that, not great. And then now he plays Butler in North Carolina, whose max power rating is like a 12. And theirs is significantly higher, being one of the best teams out of Georgia. And they come out, they lose the game. He could have won on a game-winning drive. He threw an interception. So a lot of questions with Nolan. He was supposed to be this safe prospect, which in some regards it kind of is, but I'm having even more doubts about what that ceiling is. And, maybe I've been wrong about what I'm saying. Maybe he isn't the next multi-year Ohio State starter. At this pace, I can very easily see someone coming in and outperforming him. So, take that all with a grain of salt. I'm lowering him down a good bit. He's barely in my tier 2 quarterbacks anymore.
I know, and I'm sure that was tough for you. And I think that highlights what we are doing. The further out you go from college, and even, if you're playing Dynasty and you're just evaluating NFL rookies each year, but the further out you go from that, we have to be very flexible. These guys are not finished products. We think we see something one year, and then that is, they show us something different. We have to be very flexible. It's not like we have an entire college career to base our evaluations off of or whatever. So I think, that's what makes it fun. But also, if to be good at this, you really got to be humble, and you have to say, hey, I got to flip this because our data, our timeline of evaluating these guys is very short. So sad for Aaron Noland right now. Maybe he'll turn it around. And then we've got Colin Hurley.
For these next 2 quarterbacks we're about to talk about, too.
Yeah.
2 other guys I've been hyping up.
Colin Hurley, who's got a great motion and release. He's also very, very young for the class. He reclassified. But, David, what are your thoughts here? Colin Hurley coming in sub 50% completion rate. Otherwise, stats not looking great. Any thoughts on him? I know you weren't necessarily high on him, but where are we at with Hurley here, going to LSU?
Yeah, I mean, he's done so well in these Elite 11 type settings and camps. We kind of, and he's been so young. I think he's been starting since an 8th grader. He's kind of thinking this would be his breakout. Through 2 games, 43% completion percentage isn't going to cut it. Yards per attempt super low. 4 TDs, 2 interceptions, and he's got He's actually improved his rushing yards quite a bit to 5. He has 5 rushing yards. He's up to negative 152 rushing yards for his career. So I don't want to dog him. Like, we'll see. It's early in the year. But so far, we were hoping for more, I think.
All right. And so in the interest of time, we're just going to move forward. Last quarterback on the list here, Matt, take it away with Trevor Jackson. The show sheet just says ... So fill in those dots here.
Yeah, so we meant to talk about him last episode, but we couldn't get around to it. He ended up transferring to a different high school, Jones, out in Orlando. And he's now teammates with a 2026 quarterback, Darion Coleman, who has been outshining him. It sounds like he's getting more reps than Jackson is, really. And Jackson hasn't been performing quite as well as Coleman has. So I've dropped him down significantly. It's that, and then he committed to Ole Miss as well. And I would consider Austin Simmons a better prospect at this point. So it's hard for me to project him as, a useful fantasy asset at this stage.
That's tough. All right. Well, also very, very young. Colin Hurley, Trevor Jackson, both extremely young for the class. Maybe they will get it together, but that's disheartening, especially, a 2026 guy, that should not be happening. Even splitting reps there, even if they're good. All right. So moving on to running backs here, we do have 3 videos. So if you're listening on a podcast, please go and check out the YouTube video because we like to show you these players and what they're doing. One of my favorite guys in the class here, Kewan Lacey, committed to Nebraska. And I'll just take this one because he is one of my favorite 3-stars. But yeah, looking good, 208 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's a creative player, and you can even see it right there in that first play. Kind of makes a guy miss in the backfield and then shoots upfield for a touchdown. But, he was kind of dead to rights there in the backfield. He also plays with toughness. You can see here, just like taking on contact, turning it into something else. And he's still going, broke like what, 5, 6 tackles on that play. He's a very fun player. This guy looks great. And, the more I've done this, the more that I have no problem, especially at running back. I have no real problem putting 3-star guys like way up there because I think size, speed, and if the tape looks pretty good, unless they're a head case that we don't know about, I think running backs can go in and just be great. Look at Damian Martinez. That guy is now an absolute bell cow for Oregon State. We knew he was going to be good, and he was a 3-star. And it's like now he's he's going to probably run for 1,000 yards plus in his every season of his career. So anyway, really like Lacey, like Nebraska, go into that Matt Rule system. Another guy, Matt, that you knew of before I did, but I also got on board with him, Matthew Fuller, kind of going absolutely bonkers so far this year. I'll run the tape and you tell us about it, what you're seeing here.
Yeah, I think he's mostly playing more mid-level Georgia competition, but he is definitely dominating. He has 39 carries, 552 yards, and 6 touchdowns in 2 games, 14 yards per carry. It does not get much better than that. And you can see here he's looking big, he's looking fast, and he can definitely move still. So, definitely like to see that. We haven't really seen much out of Dontavius Braswell out of South Carolina. They didn't exactly look great this weekend, especially from rushing perspective. So, landing spot, we'll see how that goes. But, as a player, he's looking as good as he has been. And, someone I'll definitely be looking for. He moved up a tiny bit after seeing how good he's been so far this year. Yeah,
you say big and fast. That's exactly what you're looking for. I think he's another 3-star guy committed to South Carolina, but big and fast. We like that. David, Jason Patterson continues to be an absolutely uber producer. Looks like 11 for 254 and 5 total touchdowns. That's some Noel Devine stuff right there from back in the day. If you remember, Noel Devine stat lines used to look like that. This guy going to Kentucky or committed? Is that right? Cincinnati. So we really potentially like him for early CFF. David, what do you think about Jason Patterson now he keeps doing this?
Yeah, similar sentiment to the last one. Big and fast, 200 plus pounds, 21.9 miles per hour. None of that's changed. Kick return TDs. A lot of the same stuff. He's playing really, really bad competition, But we are hypothesizing that like running back might be the easiest. It might be the easier position to transition from, like bad competition. But I thought he showed. There was a few clips. I don't know if we'll get him in here. I think we will. But I thought he showed decent agility. I don't think he's stiff by any means either. And he showed a little bit of power as well. So I don't know. He's going to put up crazy. As long as he's healthy this year, he's going to put up just bananas numbers. And yeah, like you said, Cincinnati, they have a pretty weak depth chart going forward at running back. So it would not surprise me if he.
My initial feel on him was kind of a one cut and go, a little linear. But, if he can show a little bounce, a little agility, he's like moving around there in a phone booth.
Right there.
Yeah. I agree, yeah. So, I think he's pretty darn interesting, and he's bigger than I thought as well. You guys corrected me. He's comfortably over 200. Is that right?
I think he's like right on the line around
200.
There. But 21.9. I mean, that is great. 221.9 is fantastic. All right, I've got to pay the piper here for David Eziomume, North Cobb High School. He's got 2 games where he's gone 34 for 133, 3.9 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns. That is #bad. I really thought I liked the tape. I thought he was kind of good at everything, but that's just not going to do it senior year. If you're that good, I think you are. They're going to give you a million carries, and you're going to just be ripping off stuff like Jason Patterson. I mean, if you're that good. So I really got to eat crow here, and we're gonna have to drop him down quite a bit. That is not looking great. Cameron Jones, I'll just mea culpa again. I mean, 20 for 85 and 2 through 3 games. Not good. That's not good. You want that in a half. You want that in a half for these guys. So I just loved. He was 240, looked fast enough, but. Not looking good for Cameron Jones this year. And then we have a few injury updates. Is this going to affect either of your opinions on Johan Cardenas missed game 2 or week 2? And then James Peoples injured, but, there's still a whole year before we'd see them on campus. So.
Yeah, we don't really have any update as to the particulars of those injuries. It was just a wait and see for both.
Yeah, we can't even get updates in college, much less high school. So sorry, everybody. That is, we can't. There's only so much we can do on injury reports. All right, we have pretty much a lot of glowing things here on the wide receiver front. Looking really good. Cam Coleman, who remind me where you guys are because I like Cam Coleman. Matt and David, are you pretty high on him, like top 10 guy?
Oh. Easily, yeah. David and I were both. I mean, I don't want to speak for David, but we were very, very high on him. I think we both have dropped down a tiny bit, but he's performing well statistically at least.
Yeah, 9 for 138 and 2, 6 for 115 and 3 in 2 different games. David, walk us through these highlights and where is he at for you right now? I think he's a top 5 guy for me if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, well, one of the big questions in his profile is his production. Playing alongside Carmelo English, he didn't have his production. I like that. He caught that ball right out of his frame. Good body control there. You can see he tracks it well over his shoulder, stuff like that. So like he has really good coordination. He's got that.
Is that one-handed
size? What's that?
That last one looked one-handed.
I couldn't. But yeah, he's catching a lot of fades, a lot of post goes, stuff like that. But he's gonna check boxes on production for sure. Like, 9 catches, 138 yards, 2 TDs, and then the second game, 6 catches, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. So I think he will do that. It really comes down to how much refinement he has in his route running, and that's kind of what I'm going to be looking at through as the season develops.
Yeah, I think he's very flexible. He's a big guy. And headed to Bama, right? So that you love to see that. And no, Matt?
A&M.
Oh.
A&M.
Was he ever headed to Bama? Was it like Yeah, I don't know why.
No,
Okay, A&M.
Perry Thompson was for then he flipped.
Okay, I don't know what to do with A&M. I don't even know. Is that a good landing spot? I have no idea what's going on with A&M. Although Evan Stewart did have a nice game this week, and Weigman looks okay at quarterback. All right, Matt, the floor is yours to talk about Aaron Butler. All right, so Aaron Butler, Matt, take it away. Floor is yours. And we had to actually do this in a little different way. I have to share my screen here because the highlights are just too big, too many highlights for the standard way that we do the videos. Take it away with Aaron Butler, your guy.
Yeah, so he is off to an extremely hot start to begin the season. 26 catches, 678 yards, 6 touchdowns in 3 games. So last year he only had 800 receiving yards total, so he's going to easily eclipse that. And production definitely won't be a question with him. I charted his game, one of his games, a 200-yard game, and I came away very impressed. I was already high on him compared to the services, but now I think he's just taking the next step, really. He's looking a lot more refined. He's just making tons of big plays. I moved him up significantly in my grades. He's now my wide receiver 4, actually. Pretty close to tier 1 grade.
Woo!
Because at this point, he's kind of answered all my questions. He's got ball skills. I think he's one of the best players in his class with the ball in his hands. I've never seen anybody attempt and pull off this many spin moves, back jukes, flipping the field. I just think he's extremely dynamic in that area. He's extremely fast. He can go up and get the ball. He's a good route runner now at this stage. And he's going to Colorado, who showed, that they're definitely something to be taken seriously. So I feel like there really aren't too many questions left with his profile. And so, yeah, I'm going to treat him appropriately. I'm going to push him up very high on my grades. He has, I think, a 0.79 for me currently. And it could honestly go up even higher.
And is he a composite 3-star? I know he was when we first started talking about him.
I don't recall, honestly. He's listed as an athlete on pretty much every
he's an athlete.
Still, but
okay.
He's definitely going to be playing wide receiver at Colorado. So that's all that really matters for that.
And I think, now
club move, just threw him.
We gotta like Colorado. I guess Sanders is probably only there this year. I would imagine maybe he goes to the NFL. And I don't know what it will look like after that. I also don't know how long Prime will be there. If he does this for the rest of the season, he'll probably get, he could get the Alabama job. I don't know. But man, yeah, we got to say, not only did Aaron Butler has answered your questions, Colorado answered our questions about, is this a fantasy friendly landing spot? Look at what Dylan Edwards did. One of the guys that we kind of liked, but he was 5'7". We were like, could he be Deuce Vaughn? I don't know. 4 touchdowns. Just absolutely insane. And they're looking good. Travis Hunter, bonkers. Shedeur Sanders. Now, granted, the TCU defense is bad, but it's still TCU. It's not like Alcorn State or something like that. So pretty wild stuff. All right, Micah Hudson, David, we like him. Any additional thoughts here? It looks like he had a good game, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he just mossed some poor kid right here. I don't know. That's the toe tapper, but the next highlight is him just mossing some kid. Nothing groundbreaking. He does this all the time. So he's still good at football. That's our update.
That's our update. Okay, great. Matt, Ryan Wingo, a guy you've been a little skeptical on in terms of, is he refined enough? How high should we have him? Athletic freak. But looks like he's putting it together on the field here. What do you think about Wingo's start to 2023?
I was definitely a bit impressed with what I saw. At least, in terms of what he's good at already. He's good with the ball in his hands. You'll see that in the next following plays. But also his hands looked a little bit better, more extension grabs as opposed to just body catching things there. Nice.
There you
go up and get it, grabbing it, coming down with it. I'll still have to chart him and see how he's doing on the separation side of things. You don't really see him smoking anyone in that regards here, but he looks good. He's putting up numbers. He looks great with the ball in his hands, and he's winning contested now, which is good to see. And Missouri's offense is not an awful spot to be going to anymore.
No. Burden.
Actually, no, he isn't committed yet. My apologies.
It's assumed, I think.
That's where he's
ball.
expected to go at this point.
Yeah. Crystal ball, yeah. Burden looked real good this week. I think that's going to be an interesting spot going forward for Missouri in terms of fantasy-friendly landing spots here. All right, Jeremiah Smith through 2 games, 10 for 112 and 2. I mean, that's not what you really want to see. It's not dreadful. 2 touchdowns. But I had to move him up from where I previously had him, but like I still remain a little bit like, what am I missing on this guy? But I mean, I'm not gonna kill those stats after 2 games. David, I know you've been on my side a little bit with Jeremiah Smith. Any doubt creeping in here after the start of the season?
Kind of. I mean, you'd like to see him dominate more than that, I feel like. And like the charting on him isn't like amazing. Like it doesn't like the industry's talking about him as a generational player, and that's the thing where I do think he's good. I just don't know how good. Like, is he how special is he? Does he have to be wide receiver number 1? I don't know. Does he have to be in tier 1? I don't know.
Well, I agree, and I think like the service is having him 2 overall. So not only wide receiver 1, but like 2 overall in the entire class. You do not really even see a wide receiver that high, and it's just a little bit off. I don't know. I mean, we've seen plenty of receivers that we liked a lot better, and so I'm not sure what it exactly is with Jeremiah Smith. I agree, probably a good player, but 2 overall in class. I mean, come on, I don't know. Matt. Parker Livingstone, I'm not sure I recognize his name, but the stats look fantastic. Tell us about Parker Livingstone and 11, 231, and 3. Was that 1 game?
Yeah, that was 1 game. I don't have much of a take here. It's just a notable performance. He's committed to Texas. My assumption has been that he would get buried on that depth chart. Maybe he doesn't. But good to see him making a really big game, really big performance.
Yeah. All right. Bryant Wesco, a personal favorite. I think he's real good. Quality player, 7, 72, and 2. We like to see that. And then
I can actually jump in. I actually think the Wesco is a bit of a negative compared to where he was statistically last year.
Okay.
I watched his last game. I wasn't super impressed. I know we're cutting late here, so I won't go too much more in detail. But I'm souring on Wesco a little bit.
Okay, no, good to know. Good to know. I mean, it wasn't. 7, 72, and 2 isn't mind blowing, but depending on the high school and the passing game, that could be great or not. It's hard to say. But there are some concerns with Wesco. I like him, but one of the big things that I saw, and I think he gets away with it, but like he doesn't play above the rim, and he's a tall guy, but he doesn't really get up and get after it. He does a lot with timing and movement and footwork, but doesn't just kind of sky up and dominate very often. Kind of plays a little closer to the ground, which is weird for like a 6'3" guy. And then Gatlin Blair, number 1 freak on our list whenever that comes out. 7, 209, and 2. But we don't know when we'll see him on a college football field. But fun to keep track of him here. 7, 209, and 2 is obviously pretty nice. And then Caleb Odom, who we like quite a bit. I mean, the tight end class is loaded here. 5 TDs in 3 games. David, update us here on Caleb Odom. I think you're high on him as well.
Yeah, he's playing really good competition as well. This play really stood out to me because the one thing with him is I was a little bit curious of his physicality, because he was essentially a wide receiver. I looked like he added some weight, some good muscle to his frame as well. But like his play strength looks a little bit better to me. And through 3 games, he has 5 touchdowns. I mean, that's moving pretty well for a 2. What is he? 225 now. So I don't know, man. I like him.
He's got an absolute stud. Julian Lewis is awesome. 2026 QB. My hypothesis is he may upgrade in class to 2025 eventually. But man, Julian Lewis is fantastic. And then we got Carter Nelson. I'll go back to you, David, because I think you were kind of interested in these stats and wanted to bring them up. So this is Nebraska commit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. He's
tight end, but seems to be doing a lot of different things.
That's what he plays some quarterback. He's getting carries and receiving, obviously. So just wanted to bring up that he has 17 carries, 266 yards, 5 touchdowns, so 15 yards per carry. Also has 5 receptions, 183 yards and 4 touchdowns, 36 yards per reception.
Whew.
He's playing 8v8 football, folks. So I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt. Point being is he's dominating like he should be. He's like a 95th percentile athlete. So he's doing what he should be, and he's going to put up some bonkers numbers this year, it looks like.
Carter Nelson, you love the all-purpose guys in high school. I think when you're in high school, if you're that good, you should just be dominating no matter what happens, wherever you touch the ball, whenever you touch the ball. So you like to see that. Great recap, guys. I think that was awesome. Really appreciate you putting the work in, watching these players, keeping up to tabs on what these guys are doing. I think it's going to help us, and we will see it flesh out. I think our next mock draft might be on tap for next week. So we'll see if that changes some of these ADPs as we keep going. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining. Without further ado, this has been The Official.